All right, cyber traders, welcome on back here this Monday, May 3rd. Great to see everybody here live inside the Cyber Group trading room. Sharon, Kathleen, Bonnie, Felix, Ken, Chuck. Great to see everybody here, Ray included. I see him and Mike from up top before. And of course, all of us on social media, Facebook Live and YouTube. Welcome on back. Hey, for right now, we have a beautiful move here on this U.S. Steel Trade X. I'm very happy to see it, right? And for all of us live inside the trading room, a couple of us teased me that this is my baby, my favorite stock. It was, and I still like this stock a lot. I really haven't day traded this in a little while. Really, I don't remember the exact date, but just it's been a number of months, even maybe a year or so. But hey, right now, U.S. Steel ended up making a really nice move up today, still pushing up. And I think that was like really metals all together. I ended up subbing in for Fausto earlier today on a timing research broadcast, a podcast that they do. It was great to be on their platform talking about order flow using level 3, level 4, but they were talking to me or asking me about my insight on the metals, mainly gold. But I ended up talking to them about my affinity for X, or at least my prior affinity for it. So hey, for right now, I still love it as a day trade heading into this afternoon. Looks like it's approaching the highs dating back to last week. Let me just get my cursor out there. Let's see what that was. Just under 25, 24.96, the high back from last week, 24.88 here practically. Major resistance you would assume to be off of 25, a whole flat number, a quarter century number, mind you, right? So, hey, for right now, easily enough, we'll just slip this on our main watch list and see where it goes. Hopefully moves as steady up as it has been so far for us today. So I was talking about the metals. I'll just check in, I guess, casually with that in mind, with the gold stocks, the silver stocks, and ETFs that go with it. So really quickly, if that's moving up as well, and that's steel, but still infrastructure and metals. NEM still moving up nicely, more expensive, but if there's like a more volatile, cheaper gold stock, I'd be interested. Doesn't really seem like we have one though. The cheaper ones are like gold and sand and ego. Those are doing all right, making a move up, but not really the type of like oomph, the type of momentum that we would look for heading into this point in the afternoon. So definitely, I like X. I'll check out the silver, ETFs and stocks that go with it. Looks like SLV popped up, shortly after the market opened up and then flattened out a bit after. But PAAS, Pan American Silver, hit a nice push up earlier today. Again, though, it's not making that type of like acceleration that you would want to have on a stock like X here. So, hey, that's fine. I just wanted to check out of curiosity to start. But X, definitely a great move so far heading into this afternoon. I would assume for there to be just a little bit more than 9,200 plus shares at 25. That's just my thought. All right, just a little bit more than 10,000, I'd say there too. I'm being very sarcastic when I say that. I'm expecting probably like 100 plus thousand shares to be filled if that ends up, hitting 25 here. So we'll come back to X. This will probably be on the top of our list here by the end of it all. We ended up doing really well, though. I mean, not really too much of a surprise, but OCGN, and I say that really that way for anyone that's been watching this meeting, whether live inside Cyber Group as like a regular student or member here, or as someone watching on social media with me here in the afternoons live. You know how much I talk about this stock, or how much we have been talking about this, Fausto included. It's been making a move off of COVID news, vaccine news for that matter. The only issue on this trade, and I didn't take this going into the mid-morning to where I wish I did, but it's to say that the stock was pretty choppy. Ended up making the move generally that we were expecting, an upward run up. But man, I'll tell you, after the initial slingshot, when it pulled back down and made a nasty shake off of, I think that was 15, I thought that was going to be it. It ended up moving up, so it threw me for a loop there. But even if I wanted to take it, I'm happy to say I didn't get in this and take a couple of losses that would add up over time. It ended up making like a very choppy minute by minute move. We've seen the stock make some much better pops, some much more momentum based moves up or down. It ended up making the exact move that we would expect from market open to this point in the day, seeing it make the push up to 16, but I thought it would have done it much earlier than it did here. It's just to say, right now, going into the afternoon, it's still making a higher low, still pushing back up, as you could see, up towards 1570. It's not really a huge resistance just yet, but 15,000 share order. 16 is your major level to work off of. That's where we had one of our biggest volume spikes across the day today. So if it could end up retesting 16 later on today, hinging or maybe set aside a run in the after hours. If that doesn't happen, then that 16 level could be used as a big level to enter off of tomorrow even. So I'm even just planning ahead. I mean, I like this OCGN trade for this afternoon, like it for tomorrow, so long as it remains shortable. Even if it's not, if this ends up reblasting over 16, we see more volume, more buying off that price. Why can't this go to 20? So I'm not guaranteeing that. I'm just, saying if that happens, then I'll be there to take that trade. So I'm just planning ahead. That's all. But for right now, even for this afternoon, if this can make a blast up to 16 and even hold from there to make like a 40, 50 plus cent move or so, that would be pretty worth our time. So for right now, OCGN, I'll add to our list here. The other trade that we ended up catching from the morning, another no surprise really, Vaxxer. But I gotta say, I'm pretty surprised with how strong the stock was going into the early afternoon to see this not move back up, but re-break below that low of the day, below support off of like 880. But we ended up seeing them come down off of bad earnings going into the open. I thought it was going to run up towards a specific price, 1064, and a little lesson for all of us on social media that don't have the chance to join us live every day in the trading room. You can't try and be perfect with your exit, and you can't try and be perfect with your entry. So what I wanted on this trade was ultimately I wanted this to move up after the market opened to a resistance 1064 to 1070. From the pre-market drop, there was a bunch of volume that got filled there. This is a stock I'm very familiar with myself. I guess I'm not too familiar with it, but ended up making the move up. And I didn't get in on time on the short. I wanted to short it from 1070 or 1064-ish, that tight range, and I didn't get in on time. Ended up dropping back down without me. And then on the way back up, or so I thought, when it was beginning to make a move off of 950, I thought it was going to hold support from the pre-market low and then run up to the 1064 to 1070. So I was actually more interested in buying it later on, and that's where I ended up getting chopped up on this trade. I ended up taking 3 tiny losses on this, by tiny anywhere between 3 to 8 cents, but they add up, right? The end result was an accumulation of small losses on this trade for me, and then I just failed to get back in. I stopped my trading after 10:30 this morning, or even like 10:45, but it wasn't on this trade. I was trading the AHT trade that I think Ken was commenting on live inside the trading room. But it goes to show, though, hey, there could still be room on the way down. It's not going to be pretty, not going to be perfect. Maybe we'll talk about this live inside our Traders Talk workshop tomorrow. A little segue for all of us on social media. See the link on the banner below just to get started for us live inside our trading room to access that. But, this was a great short today. Rebroke below support on a couple of failed attempts from early. And once it rebroke it again, made the big move. And even here, on the way down to $8, another big support level. I wouldn't expect an immediate continuation right away, but look for more selling, look for more red on the tape here. So long as this stock is shortable, there could be opportunity to be made on the way down. All right, so hey, we have 3 good stocks to start our watch list off with here. I mean, between OCGN and VXRT alone, I'd be pretty occupied. And then, I have to give X a little shine here, right? My US Steel made the push close to 25, generally just held under that price, and that's it. Again, we'll check back in with this at the tail end of this meeting. But, what we'll do, folks, is go from top to bottom now. We still have some action on the PRPO, I think, and then alongside that, a few other cheaper ones that are moving here. So, yep, right as I say, perfect cue. So PRPO ended up just false breaking over the resistance off of 4. I can say that because it's under that price and it broke above it here. So a pop above 4 pulled right back below that price. That's not a good sign for continuation on the very short term. I can't even show you the prints on the tape, really, even. There's so much volume being traded on the stock. 213 million shares roughly, and obviously going to be counting from here on out. But I would look for false breaks on this on the way up, just like I said for VXRT on the way down. So, yeah, PRPO. I don't know the float on this stock. I can easily check, but just see. It's running a 17 million share float. So I got time. I actually got a free afternoon. I'm going to jump back on anyway, 3:30 for all of us in the trading room. But it's been a long day of talking. I got some time here to do some math. So let's do some math. 214 million shares, right? That's roughly the amount of volume that's trading now more, divided by 17 million, or divided by 17. So I'm doing 214 divided by 17. This stock is trading over 12 and a half times what its float is. So in terms of exhaustion, be careful on this trade. I mean, this is exactly where we would want it to be going into the afternoon, moving up at the highs, breaking higher right now as we speak. But that's not a foolproof or guaranteed move to see this move up to 450 or 5 later on. I would love for that to happen, but just be very mindful of a potential false break. You know, the stock's trading so much volume today, so if it's not going to break any higher, it's not just going to like coast sideways and do nothing. You're going to see massive sell-off if we're wrong on this continuation up. All right, so there we go. PRPO still looks good. I mean, I'm just being cautious when I say that. You know, so we're going to add that to our list. The RHE tree, talk about chop. It's like Chop City. This thing's been like up and down in like tight ranges, and then it snaps down and up. It makes a move, but not the type of move that we would like to have here. So, you know, that aside, it's got big spread at times, very empty order book, you know, across the bid and the ask. Just keep moving. BTX, I mean, again, another gap up higher in pre-market this morning. So, you know, as far as the swing trade, if anyone was in from earlings, just, you know, riding it out just for fun, then, you know, it could have paid off even further this morning. That's not my strategy. I did not touch this with like a 10-foot pole, but you know, what goes up does come back down. That's what I was trying to warn us for going into this week, let alone the last, you know, couple of trading days. But ended up dumping off in pre-market, going into the open, is dumped lower here at first, you know, kind of squeaked up. But I only expect this to drop off more, you know, across this week. And if it moves up higher, God bless. But I'm not in it. If anyone makes money on this trade, congratulations. You know, if it ends up dumping off, I can't say that I would be surprised. So AMS here will keep going though from top to bottom. I mean, hey, nice cheap stock, order book relatively liquid, just not really like making too great of a move right now. So maybe keep this on the side. Just yeah, we'll see if there's anything looking better right now. This ISNS, I mean, I guess I could say about time here for this one too. This one ended up making a little bit of a move up back on Friday last week, right? Just, you know, the past trading day, but I don't think it really made the type of move I was expecting for it to make. It ended up like making, yeah, you could see here from the 30th, it ended up making this wacky pop after 3 o'clock or right at 3 o'clock, you know, pop and drop, and that was it. So you look at that chart, that candle on the daily chart, that's a little misleading. You know, it looks like it closed at the highs there, but it like wasn't really that great of a trade Friday for us. Like it popped, yeah, but that was like pretty fast and at nearing like the end of the day. So, you know, it gave us a lot more to work off of, thankfully, today. And it really didn't take long for that to happen. I mean, right after 10:30, big move up, and on the re-break off of, you know, we'll call it 720 to 725. You know, the resistance here that was kind of holding. That created support, and that led to the move up that you saw later on. So, you know, I'd rather follow a stock like ISNS compared to the AMS right now, if, you know, we're just comparing them. So I don't mind slipping this on our list. I like the others a lot more so far compared to this. I say that just because of this beginning to dump back down. I just don't think it's as likely for it to, you know, pop and break even higher and run up another dollar from where it is here. You know, time's kind of on our side it's still, but, you know, TikTok, and then also the stock just made a big shake down, so it has to make a big shake all the way back up to these prices before breaking higher. So, you know, now it's a little bit more to ask for this stock to continue to go up. Gary saying X at 25. Yeah. All right. Let me just jump to that fast. You just like heard my brain operate right there. So yeah, you could see 25, and the prints were filled above the ask. I mean, that, for what it's worth, still a lot of buying coming in, including mainly this 82K print. So that was taken out in one print, one transaction. On top of that, all of the other volume that you see there. But yeah, That's why I was saying 100,000+ shares I was expecting. Came to that just late, Gary. You probably typed that maybe like 10 seconds before I looked back at the chat board. All right, let's see what else we got, though. Looking good, though, obviously, X. Tops, just name stock here. We've seen this pop and drop before. It's dropping now after a pop. There's our OCGN. Still kind of shaking and rattling around here. I mean, it is shortable. If it doesn't break any higher, then perhaps we could see it break lower, make a nice move down. It already moved down nicely off the false break first from 16 here. BTU, I've seen this one move in the past. Nice run up from earlier today. Interesting. I'm just checking it out out of curiosity. Just the gap down back from Thursday last week. It dropped a big bull hammer here and then breaking higher today. So that's easy to say in hindsight, but not surprising from my end. Could be a good side list stock for later on this week. Remember last stock I said that about the XXII, and that was a really good move on the way up from last week and ended up actually dumping off and providing a good opportunity as a short. So, hey, the stock actually shortable, believe it or not, this BTU. GPS pushing up. How about this? Gap. For any of our longtime students, kind of like with X, I was not as infatuated with GPS in the past, but I've always said off of news or any sort of catalyst that could allow this to gain more traction, then I'll be interested in trading it. It has good spread for right now, good liquidity. I don't know what the news is, but I do care to check. Let's see. Gap shares trading higher, leading the apparel space for the session, not seeing company-specific news, blah, blah, blah. I don't know if they have earnings coming out. I'll check the earnings calendar from Benzinga Pro. You folks can't see that here, but just checking. Wouldn't shock me if they have earnings coming up after the bell today or perhaps tomorrow morning. Oh, whoops, what am I doing here? GPS. Typing in gap. Type in the ticker. I was getting a wacky ticker there. Let's see. No, not until June 3rd. Interesting. All right. So I don't know what the news is that's allowing this to make such a nice move up over, 10, almost 11%. Just broke out over 36.50, let alone this last peak. Wow, the gap's been on a freaking tear. Oh my goodness. I mean, it's making the same type of move that, the S&P's generally made since the pandemic, but pretty interesting to see though. I mean, I guess I haven't traded this in quite some time too. All right, I'm just looking out of curiosity right now. I got the time to do this. 36. Looks like it broke out from this historical high here, this top, roughly around 35. You can't give a specific price level on that, but that was former resistance at least. So hey, that's why we're seeing this make a more accelerated move up, it seems like here. I mean, obviously smart money wanted to keep this above at least that price, let alone a higher low. And now making this push up, faster here. I like it. All right. So let me go over to the losers list here fast. If there's anything else up, down, left, right, then type it in the chat board. Got a couple of us live in Cyber Group, like Debbie saying BRN just popped. And Lita saying the ISNS, which is already on our list. She's saying it's popping now. I said that was near the bottom of our list, but if that's making a big move right now, then maybe I'll kind of promote that, so to say, push that up higher. All right, Vaxxer, what the hell is happening here? So this is already on our list. We talked about this from before. It didn't break below 8. It didn't test 8. It hit 801. So that leads me to say that even if this drops down to 8 coming up and breaks below 8, don't look for the short right away. And if you do, then just play it really tight. I mean, you might think it will stop you out and it'll move on without you, but 8's a really big level on that trade. It's not just going to meddle at 8 and that's it. If it breaks 8, it's going to make a big move either down, which you would expect, or if it ends up moving back over 8, then it might fly off short covering on the way up. But we'll kind of react to it all coming up shortly. I mean, NVAX, another vaccine stock, down big. I knew that there was some article out, I think it was on the Wall Street Journal, about or maybe New York Times, one of them, about just vaccines in general. And I saw VXRT kind of being included with that. I think alongside that, NVAX, I think that was out just from this morning. But yeah, I mean, NVAX as well. I don't know if this was also earnings included, but ended up dropping off big today as well. Take a look at, some stocks that are more within our price range. Sorrento, INO, those are more vaccine stocks that have been shortable in the past. If they're all making the same move, then why not? Bunch of crap hard to borrow, though, to be honest with you, otherwise, across the losers' end here. This Sun stock was on the gainers' side to start the pre-market. So that's pretty interesting to see it down 12+%. Mark, not the student, but the stock. I always joke with that. It's a dad joke. But ended up dropping off today. Not a whole lot happening there. Space. All right. Let me get the news blurb out on space here. So took a hit this morning. Taking a bigger hit now. So news out from space. It was from Friday after hours. Virgin Galactic shares quiet on the report. NASA tells SpaceX to halt work under a contract to build lunar spacecraft pending rivals challenge at the U.S. GAO. I don't know what that means, but nonetheless, that sounds like not so good news. I don't know if there's any other developments from over the weekend. I don't see anything otherwise from Benzinga Pro here, so I don't think that there is. If there is, then type it in the chat board. Just keep us updated. But ended up just making a big move, shortly after the open. Dropped off right away, and really there was no looking back. Ended up, consolidating underneath former support, treating it as resistance, and that led to the move continued on the way down. But, at this point, this is a great stock to watch just because it's testing a major support once again. And this one, it hasn't broken through yet. So, it's coming in down to 20. I would imagine for there to be a hell of a lot more than just 21,371 at $20 there on the bid. See on the blue column here, this order. So there's got to be a lot more to it than just that. But I'd even say from here, wait to see it break below the level first and then see what happens after. If it shoots right back over that 20, then perhaps it'll be a false breakdown. We'll see short covering. Or, if it ends up breaking below 20 and you look for a lot of red on the tape below that price, maybe it insta drops. I think the former will happen first, where it squeezes back over 20 on a false break, but then react to it after. If it ends up re-breaking 20 on the way down, that leads you likely to your next move on the short. MVIS, not a whole lot happening. Hard to borrow, pretty choppy too, kind of like OCGM, but OCGM stronger on the way up than this is on the way down. Even if I can't short this, I would put this on our list if it was dropping off better, because I know that there are other traders out there on TOS or maybe IB or, Fidelity otherwise that may be able to short this. Actually, I don't know if the stock's listening to me, or I don't know if it's Mitch Connor on YouTube that's asking about another stock, BRN. But man, this thing's dropping off quite a bit right now. I don't know if this stock's listening to me here talk trash about it, but it's kind of trying to prove me wrong. So, you know what? you know what? We're pretty familiar with this trade, this MVIS. Just the last week. I mean, it's been every day we were watching it. So it's dropping off now. If you could short this, then this could be an interesting opportunity. Right as I say that. Pretty interesting. All right, cool. Let's see if there's anything else, any other stocks that look good. I don't really see much across the losers list otherwise. Tiger, shortable, or hard to borrow on TradeStation today, but this also making another move on the way down, it seems. So looks like the fintech stocks getting beat up today. Apple ended up shaking down after the open. We're not going to trade Apple, but maybe just show it quick. Popped up, then dropped off after. It's trying to squeeze back up to that last level, 133. I was doing the timing and research broadcast earlier, just the podcast earlier today, and ended up talking about that level. You would expect it to be a support here on the way down and just slice right under it. Goes to show you can't just buy a stock on the way down expecting support to hold, because look how long it took for it to move back up and how far it dropped first. So that's not our strategy. That's not what we would do. And interesting that this is getting the squeeze back up, though. We don't really have too many earnings for the after hours today. Come tomorrow, we have some earnings. Let me see. got some like crappy handwriting on my whiteboard calendar. Tomorrow morning, CVS, pretty name brand stock, obviously. Under Armour, pretty familiar. Race, Ferrari. Got a lift in the afternoon tomorrow. We'll keep this up all updated going into tomorrow. In the morning with Fausto, of course, with myself in the afternoon here. All right, so for all of us across the board, live inside the trading room, and of course on social media, if there's anything else you would want me to look at, again, I'll check out the BRN to begin. Mitch wrote that just about 5 minutes ago. Just got halted on the way up. You need to see more orders, more volume to fill in. Yeah, got halted on the way up. I took my time before jumping to this, but reopened and has since dropped. Yeah, this stock is like super low float. This is like, what you would see. I'm not going to name names out there on YouTube, but you folks do the homework out there. It's like the type of stock you would see like the pop and drop people, the pump and dump type players do, and luring people in and then dumping it off after and keeping everyone trapped in. It's on a 3 million share float. So, it's doing that right now. I actually say that because I think that happened the last time. I remember us following the stock, ended up making a huge pop after the market opened this day and then dumped off the following day. Huge gap down in the after hours. And then that was it. So, at this point now, after this big break below $4, I'm going to pass on this for right now. I think that we have a pretty busy list already, but I appreciate the call. And if it ends up breaking out a little bit more, if there's more life on this trade on the way up, then, I'll be the one to call it out. I'll be the first one to, look at it and say, hey, that looks pretty interesting. Watch, it's going to do that right now. It's going to listen to me talk some trash about it and then make the pop up now, right, Mitch? From Taz, he's calling out plug at the low of the day. Yeah, good side list stock. Don't get me wrong. In terms of volatility, I mean, hey, I feel like we're pretty set on Space and X and like all these others that are moving just a little bit faster. But if you do well on plug, then stay on plug. I'm serious there. I mean, if you do well on plug day to day or, week to week more often than not, then follow plug. This looks good, but I feel like some of the others might get you more bang for your buck. That's all. That's me being very picky with that, Taz. If we didn't have like 10 stocks on the watch list already, that would probably make it, if we're being honest. CCJ, I could probably say the same with this on the way up as, plug on the way down. A little bit cheaper, but and I will say, and the spreads are good. Spread and liquidity is pretty good from Dan inside our trading room. And I'll take the best one or two that we all have here collectively. So maybe I won't write off plug yet, but Norman saying YGMZ looks like another Chinese-based education company. CLU not doing a whole lot there. Yeah, I'm going to pass on the YGMZ stock for the same reason as I would on BRN. That BRN looks better than the other one there, I think. RGLS, just too slow. Getting back to a stock already on our list already here, the ISNS. I'm just going from bottom to top there. So Leda wrote this about like 5 minutes ago. She was like, it's popping now. And yeah, making the push up. Yeah. So you know what? Hey, I don't think this will be on the bottom of the list, right? We'll kind of promote this and push it up to the middle. All right. PBF from Marcel. We got a nice list of stocks here. At least I don't mind checking this all out. Again, same thing. Same with this exactly as I would say on CCJ. It's making, I think, like the same exact type of move. This is a little bit steadier off the lows and up more percentage-wise, I think. Let me just loosely double-check. Oh, no, I'm wrong on that. I mean, they're both making the same up move, going into the afternoon. PRPO is a nice pop, maybe running out of steam. I'd rather follow this because it's cheaper in this example, and this is up, to the point where it's either going to dump back down and we just write it off right away, Dan, or it holds support here off of 4 and blasts higher like very soon. So you're going to find out very shortly on this trade. If it ends up dumping below 4, then don't let it be as much of a distraction. Then just scratch this off your list and follow the CCJ then, the one that you wrote. All of these don't look bad. All of these look good. If I just let every stock on the watch list, I'd have like a 50 stock list. You know what? So I got to be a little picky and choosy here after a certain point, folks. That's why I'm just saying that. I'll tell you though, from Benzinga Pro, I don't have anything else. So, hey, we got 2, 4, 6, 8, 9 stocks on our list. I guess I could let one or two more on, but otherwise, listen, if there's a stock that you find that looks tradable, that has a chance to make a very big move and a big pop, then follow that at first. If that stock does nothing in the next 10 minutes, then don't get stuck watching the grass grow. Look back at the chat board, listen to the broadcast coming up, for myself and Rich coming up after 3:00 here. For all of us on social media, again, I'll just sign off by saying make sure that you go right down to the link on the banner below to get started. Sign up for our live trading room. But for all of us there already, I'll post the picks, and then we'll go from there, folks. All right. All right. So you get Rich up until 3:30. I'll be back on from 3:30 going into the end of the day. All right. I'll talk to you soon. Take care.